Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great night. Welcome. Just me tonight. Tommy's in Columbus for some work training. Good luck to him. So, Week Ahead News Show, episode 62. Here on the Week Ahead News Show. Hope everyone's having a great start to their weeks. Easy Monday. Nice hot one today. It is May 18th, 2026. Make sure you guys support any way you want. Like, subscribe, ring that bell if you want to be notified. Our Facebook's in the description. I still have to fix that. I'll have some time this weekend to fix that and post on there again. We'll actually be going into weather. Let me find out where my weather's at. Get that fixed and ready. We'll only have a couple, one local, one funny, one national topic tonight. Alright, weather's ready. Let's go right into it. Alright, obviously we can see here. Today we had a high of 90, low of 61, so a hot one today. Tomorrow we have a 75% chance of rain, high of 87, low of 68. Wednesday we have a 90% chance of rain, 72, 49. Thursday we have sunny, 69, getting a little bit colder too in the 45. Low. Sorry about that. See what else we got here. Friday, we have a 80% chance of rain. Looks like Friday's a high of 64, getting a little chillier, low of 50. Saturday is a 95% chance of rain, high of 68, low of 52. Sunday's a 65% chance of rain, high of 70, low of 57. And next Monday, we have 45% chance of rain, high of 75, low of 57, get a little hotter. Right now, our moon's in waxing crescent, 7% illumination. With our next full moon in 13 days. I don't know why it loves going on my iPad. Let me fix that. Our moonrise is at 7:06 a.m. and our moon set is at 11:28 p.m. Our sunrise today was at 6:01 a.m. Our first light was at 5:30 a.m. Getting lots of light right now. Sunset today at 8:37 with last light 9:08 with about 14 hours and 35 minutes of daylight. Pretty much the same we were getting before. We were getting, when was this, last week? Yeah, last week. What's humidity? 58? Not too bad. Feels like 80 right now. It's a little hot. Not much precipitation recently. Hope everyone's having a really good night. Let's go right into a funny topic. It's more about Trump's ballroom. Let me actually mute my mic and bring it a little bit closer. Apparently, the ballroom is becoming a meme factory. It's being put on $400 million. Supporters framed it as a modernization effort, compared it to the state reception halls used by other world leaders. I don't know about what kind of other world leaders that much money, though. Critics, meanwhile, in Italy say something very different. They described it online between a mix of a mix. Sorry about that. They're describing it online as a mix between a Las Vegas casino, a luxury hotel wedding venue, and a presidential suite 16, which is funny. Within hours of the story breaking and social media completely took over, people on X, TikTok, Reddit, began posting edited images of the White House with giant gold chandeliers, marble dance floors, disco balls, valet parking, and even buffet stations labeled executive brunch strip cocktail. It's kind of like the Mar-a-Lago of the North. A lot of memes are saying late night comedians have been going after the story too. Several hosts have joked at the State of the Union. Addresses could include fog machines and wedding DJs, which would be funny. In the end, the White House ballroom turned into one of those uniquely modern political movements, where memes became bigger than the actual story. And we're seeing right now, which actually isn't the best. Trump wants to use public money for it, which the whole thing is that it was going to be private, and that's just kind of a scam. If we use public money, it shouldn't have all this private crap all over it and private funding. We'll go right into it, making it a quicker episode tonight. Our first national topic 1 is how pay for American workers is lagging inflation again. The American economy right now is entering an uncomfortable phase again. The inflation is rising faster than workers' paychecks, and many families are starting to feel like they're losing ground financially, even though wages are technically still increasing. This is a news report from CBS News highlighted a major economic turning point for the first time since 2023. Inflation has officially outpaced wage growth in the United States. So you see this a lot of times too, wherever you work. If you work at a place and you have a year-end review, and that year-end review, they're like, hey, we're giving you a 3% raise next year. If that 3% raise is actually, 3%, let's say, and inflation's 5% that year, you're getting 2% less than inflation. So you're actually making 2% less the next year than you did the same year because of how money works. That's just true. Smaller places don't deal with this. I hear people, well, the economy's doing bad when Joe Biden was president. And I go, well, have you been getting pay increases every year with inflation? Nope. It's like, well, maybe don't work for your family, bro. When you work for your family, you get benefits, and that's called a business. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't get a pay increase in 3 years, and you say, well, the economy's bad, and it's been 3 years of 3%, 5% inflation, 3 plus 5 plus 3, that's 11%. You're losing money. Basically, 11% of your paycheck after before those 3 years is now less than what it was before. Now. So I don't want to hear it, buddy. It's crazy to me. According to the latest data, in simple terms, prices are increasing faster and workers are earning more money. According to the latest data, inflation rose 3.8 over last year, while average wage increased by only 3.6. And that's true. That may sound close, but even a small gap matters because it means people are effectively losing purchasing power. Americans may be making more money on paper, but that money buys less gas, groceries, rent, and everyday necessities than it did last year, like I kind of said. One of the biggest drivers of a surge is energy prices. Gasoline prices alone jumped more than 28% compared to last year, thanks to Trump. And economists say fuel costs account roughly 40% of the recent inflation spike, especially because I've seen fuel go up 50%, they've been saying. That has basically created a domino effect throughout the economy. When the fuel gets more expensive, shipping costs rise, airlines pay more, transportation costs rise, delivery fees increase. Suddenly, almost everything from food to travel to retail goods become more expensive for consumers. We've been seeing that already with this BS tariffs. And Americans are noticing it everywhere. Surveys show that roughly 3/4 of people are now worried about their personal finances, while nearly 2/3 describe the economy as either fairly bad or very bad. What makes the situation frustrating for many workers in the labor market doesn't look terrible on the surface. Unemployment remains relatively low, and companies are still hiring in some industries, but wage growth has cooled dramatically compared to the explosive post-pandemic compared to recent years, or post-pandemic recovery years. Economists describe a current environment as low hire, low fire economy. Businesses are not laying off huge amount of workers, but they're also not aggressively expanding or offering massive raises anymore. Workers feel stuck. People are quitting jobs less often because of finding a better replacement job has become harder. Another factor adding pressure to global instability that we talked about before is rising oil prices tied to conflict in the Middle East. Personal inflation is higher worldwide, actually. Supply chains concerns and new tariffs are also contributing to higher prices for imported goods. The Federal Reserve is now in a difficult position as well. Earlier this year, many investors expected interest rates cuts to help boost the economy, but we talked about last week, if the prices rise again, the Fed might keep rates elevated longer than expected. Some economists are even warning that future rate hikes are back on the table if inflation continues climbing. Come on. Politically, this creates a major challenge heading into the 2026 election season. Inflation has historically been one of the most powerful issues affecting voter frustration because it impacts people daily. Americans can tolerate complicated economic debates, but immediately notice higher gas prices, more expensive groceries, and shrinking paychecks, like we've been saying. Online reactions have been mixed between concern and dark humor. Social media has been flooded with jokes about spending $50 at a grocery store and somehow leaving the free items and emotional damage. Others joke that it raises now fuels participation trophies because inflation immediately wipes them out. Paychecks, and raises. That's true, raises aren't that big anymore. Biggest concern is consumer confidence. Economists worry that if Americans feel financially squeezed long enough, they will reduce spending. Since consumer spending powers a huge portion of the U.S. economy, that slowdown eventually weakens our growth overall. And we'll go into our last topic, which is a local topic. We'll probably only have like a 20-minute episode with these two 10-minute topics. Quick funny one in there to a quick sip of water. We'll be right back in probably 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Alright, let's get into it, guys. Yuck, yuck. Local topic one for night is how coffee shops, boutiques, and office space are planned for downtown Youngstown. Excited for it. Major new redevelopment project is being planned for downtown Youngstown. You've probably seen this for the last 5 years, 5 years before that, 5 years before that. And city leaders are hoping it becomes another sign that the area's long-running revitalization effort is gaining momentum. According to a report from WKBN 27 First News, developers are proposing a mixed-use project that would bring together a coffee shop, boutique retail stores, and a modern office space heart of downtown. The project reflects a broader trend happening across many former industrial cities in the Midwest, and instead of relying on massive factories or traditional development stores, downtown development is now centered around smaller, experience-driven business, places where people could work remotely, meet socially, and shop locally. Also, while spending time throughout the day in Youngstown's case, the development is being viewed as another portion of a city's attempt to reinvent itself after decades of economic decline tied to the collapse of the steel industry. The plan reportedly includes a local-focused coffee shop concept alongside boutique storefronts aiming at attracting small businesses and specialty retailers. Office space is also a key part of the development, especially as more companies look for flexible downtown workspaces rather than large suburban office campuses. I don't know about that one. My company I work for now actually moved out of Youngstown because they wanted more space. Supporters believe a combination could help increase foot traffic and create more day-to-day activity downtown, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. One reason why a project like this matters so much to Youngstown is because downtown Youngstown has spent many years trying to recover from the economic collapse reshaped from the Mahoning Valley of the 1970s and 80s. Many businesses left downtown, major department stores closed, and population decline accelerated. But over the last 2 decades, the city has gradually pushed towards a different strategy focused on smaller scale redevelopment, entertainment districts, and higher education partnerships and adaptive reuse of historical buildings. That strategy has already produced several visible success. Downtown Youngstown now includes venues like the Convelli Center, always had that kind of though. Youngstown Amphitheater is a little bit newer though, good one. And expanding collecting restaurants, apartments, and renovating historical buildings. Projects like redevelopment of historical brick building into apartments and commercial space have become examples how older properties can be reused rather than demolished. The city has also, leaned heavy on institutions like Youngstown's Business Incubator and Youngstown State University to help stabilize downtown activity. YSU brings thousands of students into the area each year, where the incubator has helped launch technology startups and attract business development. Many officials believe smaller commercial projects like the proposed coffee shop and boutique development work best when they complement those existing anchors. There's also a growth recognition that modern downtown's completely different than they did a decade ago. Today's cities are trying to create destination districts where people can live, work, and socialize in the same area. Coffee shops in particular have become important because they often only act as informal gathering spaces for students, remote workers, entrepreneurs, and visitors. Youngstown YSU has coffee shops around it as well. Boutique retailers add another layer by offering experiences and products rather than large chain stores and malls cannot replicate. And there's also a Mocha House in downtown Youngstown. This is not federal downtown. So it'll be interesting. That shift means the Mahoning Valley, where traditional retail has increasingly moved towards suburban shopping centers like Eastwood Mall and Severn Park Mall. And Severn Park Mall is not doing well right now. Downtown's Youngstown strategy focuses on creating more walkable and local and unique environment to offer something different than these suburban retail corridors. And now is way better than that. And I think that's something that's interesting too, is that a lot of people that moved out of Youngstown moved to Austintown, Boardman, Canfield, Poland, all these areas. You know what I mean? Gerard Niles even. That's why that's why Boardman is a shopping and restaurants everywhere, fast food everywhere. You know what I mean? You can't throw a rock and not hit one. It is crazy. You can't shoot a shotgun that you used to kill those little like bees with and ants with without hitting one. It is crazy. The thing is though, like that money is now there. People are spending the money there. You know what I mean? People like going downtown, but there's so much people in those areas like Boardman. Sorry about that sneeze. That why don't they go into downtown Youngstown? Parking, and it's just there's not much to offer there. Even music-wise, there's not that much music. So it'll be interesting. Online reaction to the project has been mixed, but mostly optimistic. And kind of talked about before, like my business, it depends on the company. But downtown Youngstown, once again, parking's an issue. And, you know what I mean, it depends if you have a lot, if you're parking on the street, like parking passes, or if you're outside of a major city like that, you just have a parking lot. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. And there's some businesses like that, but you need to be a big business to have your own parking lot down in Youngstown. A lot of times it's shared spaces. It's just not as good as moving away a little bit and then having more space. It's just what I've been told with many of how I work with engineers. Many residents see a new downtown development as positive momentum, especially projects focused on local entrepreneurship rather than large outside corporations, which I also love to see. Others remain cautious, pointing to previous redevelopment announcements that struggled financially or never fully materialized. That skepticism is a common under the old West Bluff cities, where residents have seen decades of ambiguous revitalization plans come and go, which is true. Still, the supporters are arguing the city's progress over the last several years has been more steadily than flashy. Instead of one massive transportation project, downtown Youngstown has slowly added restaurants, apartments, and entertainment venues, office tenants, reworked a lot of these sidewalks, and small businesses piece by piece. Advocates believe developments like this proposed mixed-use space are important because it could help build consistent daily activity, rather than relying on one major event or sporting crowds as well, making this part of your, daily commute. If a project moves forward as planned, it could become another example of how Youngstown is attempting to redefine itself, which would be awesome to see. Not that the steel capital once was, but a smaller, more diversified downtown centered around local business, culture, education, and community activity, which I would love to see. It would be awesome to see more businesses down there personally. And it's more of a better time. We've seen businesses come and go, and it's just sad to see as well. That's really it for me today, guys. Tommy couldn't make it again. He was in Columbus for some work stuff. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Our Facebook's in the description. We'll be back here next week. We'll also be back here Thursday at 8:30, right before Indy, right before the big leaving for Indianapolis. 500 this weekend. We'll be talking about that. Really appreciate everyone for stopping by. The Week Ahead News Show, episode 62 with me, Liam. Have a great night, everybody, and good night, Youngstown.